There is so much power in redefining who you are. Once you can reconnect with yourself, you begin to trust your power, and it can be a soft power. It doesn't have to be an overpowering power. It can be soft power, right? Boundaries, joy, ease. This is the power of redefining and reconnecting to who you are and who you want to become. Welcome to Boss Bitch Radio. You are here for the iconic reclamation. If you're lost as to what I'm talking about, I think it'd be really helpful for you to go back and listen to the previous 3 episodes, starting with the 7 exercises to lose weight, and they're not what you think. That is going to set the tone for this entire series. So today I'm excited. This one is fun. This is the redefinition phase, basically rewriting the rules of your own power and success. And something that is my truth is it took me a while to come to this, unfortunately, way longer than I would have anticipated. But I truly believe that a lot of times that is the case for me, to learn the lessons I need to bring them to my audience, which is success that's going to cost me my joy is no longer a success for me. And I want you to really let that sink in. Now, there's been times where it may have looked from the outside looking in like I have it all together and I have, oh my goodness, you're doing all these things and people are praising for the hustle. But truly, a lot of those times I felt super disconnected and quite frankly depleted, which was just keeping me trapped in performance, right? Like perform, monkey, do all the things. And it was really robbing me of so much more than I realized and causing disrupt in so many ways in my life. And things are just totally different now. And I'm coaching my women in the same aspect because I'm working with a lot of women who are really in the same boat, which is fun. I love calling the women that are the previous versions of myself and helping them through it and guiding them. But this isn't necessarily a permission slip to release any kind of ambition, right? I'm not giving up my ambitions and my goals. I'm just redefining them and what it means to make sense for myself. And my hope is that is something for you as well. And remembering who you're doing it for, right? Which is yourself. So let's talk about this section and what redefining really means. It's really an act of not just setting goals. You're setting yourself up for new standards for yourself and not accepting your old ways of being. And that might seem very conceptual, but I promise if you go and listen to the previous episodes, you'll see what I'm getting at here. Again, it's not about doing less. It's really about doing what aligns with your future self. And I understand there are periods and seasons of hustle and things of that nature, but what I'm imploring you to do is not lose yourself along the way. I love hustling. I love achieving goals and striving for success and hitting new financial milestones and really just being a go-getter. But the way I'm doing it is totally different now. So this is really redefining what it means to have strategy with soul, right? A little more purpose and intention, which is so juicy, so yummy. Now, a couple questions that I want to kick off this episode with is, what do I avoid by staying busy? Ask yourself that, right? I think the overarching theme for most of these episodes is the functional burnout and the mental load that I see women carrying that oftentimes derails them from their health and fitness goals. It's not that they don't have the right coach or the right plan or the right macros. It's really the what the fuck's going on behind closed doors and in their brains, right? So what do I avoid by staying busy? What are you avoiding? Another great question is, what's the payoff for never stopping? That was something I had to sit with. Right? Running 2 businesses at one point, being a competitor, being a mom, being a partner, all these things. Something pays a price somewhere. And oftentimes it's your soul. Your soul is becomes sucked the life out of. So think about, what kind of woman would your future self thank you for being today? And that's a good one to come back to often, especially if you find yourself struggling or you haven't sat with yourself for a minute and did your journaling, do your little brain dump, and answer that question. What would my future self thank me for? I do that a lot. I'll make decisions and be more mindful of them and thinking, okay, this maybe feels good right now, but how's this going to feel later on? What's my future self going to think of this decision? And man, if that does not send you for a rude awakening, I do not know what will. So I really implore you to think about who you need to become in order to hold the life that you say that you want, or the body that you want. It really is an act of becoming another person, becoming that person. You can't change who you are or your body or how it looks without changing who you're becoming in the process. Like, who do you need to become in order to have those things? Listen, I would have never in a million years had thought when I became pregnant at 16 that I would be running basically $1 million company. There's no way in hell. I was on every form of government assistance. I had 2 kids, no baby daddy. I was doing everything by myself, and I knew I was meant for more, but I couldn't conceptualize what I have now. I couldn't even fathom it because it wasn't my current reality then. That was not even within my reality or anybody in my family's reality for me to even understand that was a possibility. But I knew that I was meant for more. I knew that I needed to change who I was in order to become the woman that I wanted to be. And it started with fitness. It started with figuring out who I was when it came to being a woman in the world and how I wanted to show up. Right? Did I want to show up meek and intimidated and afraid and concerned with what everyone else thought? Trust me, I had plenty of that coming from my family. Okay. Plenty. Oftentimes the most unsupportive people in my life in those early years were a lot of my family members. So it was really understanding that inner voice and knowing I was meant for more. Now, some of the key tools that are important for this phase of redefinition. Now, you can't skip ahead. You can't redefine without going back to the previous phases. Okay. You got to get really clear with yourself and understand your internal dialogue, and also understand how to calm your central nervous system so you can do the work. And one of the biggest pieces of this puzzle is mental rehearsal. I talk before in podcasts, if you've listened to every episode, you've likely heard me say about mental rehearsal that I would do before each competition. I would lay in bed and I would visualize myself on stage. Spoiler alert, I practiced my posing way less than I likely should have by technical standards of what most coaches will recommend their clients pose, because I rehearsed it every fucking night. I would lay in bed, I would close my eyes, I would envision my heel hitting the stage, I would smell the tan, I would see the bright lights, I would scan the judges from left to right in my visualization, I would walk to the center X on the stage, and I would be in my body and I would feel every single movement of my posing routine. I would visualize what my body looked like. I would see from head to toe what the presentation would be of my package, from my hair, my nails, my suit, my jewelry, everything, before I ever even stepped a foot on that stage. I did that every single night. And it is imperative that if you are on a path to self-discovery and changing not only your body, but maybe something in your life, that you actually envision what that looks like and start to feel what that feels like, so you can carry that energy with you and start to do the things that you need to do to become that person. Subconsciously, you're planting these seeds by doing this visualization. Other things that you can visualize. How does your future self move throughout the world? What does your future self decide? How does she make decisions? Are they wishy-washy? Are they uncertain? Or are they grounded in understanding who you are and what you need? How does your future self set boundaries? What boundaries do you need to set to become that person? How does your future self start her day? Is it in reactive mode, or is it in proactive mode, where you spend time with yourself, figuring out what you need to do for your day to be a proactive human and really go after what it is that you want and desire? Now, listen, this can span from body goals to money goals. It's all important. One great thing that I have been doing pretty regularly now is manifestation. And I feel like I've done a lot of manifestation work throughout my journey into becoming where I'm at right now. And it's come and go in different pieces of my life and different phases. And it's definitely something I'm leading more with these days than ever. And I want you to think about, what does it feel like to lead your life with more softness, but still get everything that you desire, right? It doesn't need to be such a fucking grind and a hustle and leaving every day feeling depleted. It doesn't have to be that way. These are just some signature tools for this phase. It's mental rehearsal. It's getting into your feeling states, right? What does it feel like to be in the body of your dreams? What does that feel like to have vitality and energy and good health? What does it feel like to have actualize your career goals and open up your bank account and see the money that you need to live a beautiful and abundant life? What are those feeling states? It's sometimes really difficult. There are some pieces of my life where manifestation, I have blocks around, and I know I have to do work and really dive and journal and what's that about and really get curious. And when you do, oh my gosh, the results on the other end, you guys, you sweet, beautiful listener, they're amazing. It really is absolutely worth it. Now, another tool for this phase, and I spoke about it in the previous episodes, which is really having some pleasure rituals or time for you that is selfish. It is time for you to be with yourself. Non-productive pleasure selfishness. Okay. This is simple stuff that you enjoy that serves no purpose for productivity, for anything other than sheer joy and pure love of what it is that you need. Now, this can be simple 15 to 30 minutes. I want you to just clear on your calendar of a non-productive pleasure. So what is that? Maybe that's some creativity. Maybe that's painting. Maybe that's getting into something that you haven't in a minute. Maybe it's creating. Maybe it's using your hands. And maybe it's learning or reading about something that's a guilty pleasure, something. Not scrolling, not doom scrolling, not sitting in front of the TV, something that is going to pull you out of your norm that you've been neglecting. Another tool for this phase, and you'll see crossover in other phases because it's important, is a calendar audit. A calendar audit. Identify what on your calendar feels like an obligation. What the fuck drains you? What do you hate doing? What is there that just does not serve your energy? And also, what isn't supporting your future? What isn't supporting your legacy that is on your calendar? What can you clear off and make room for something that is going to bring you joy, that doesn't have a purpose of productivity and is going to lead to adding to burnout? Another tool for this phase is boundary practicing. I call this the boundaries lab. All right, let's enter the boundaries lab. Practice some mini moments of saying no. They don't have to be anything earth-shattering, but rather than reacting and being agreeable, because you're a good little girl and girls should smile and girls should be pleasing and, they should be seen and not heard. Fuck that noise. Boundaries lab. Say no. Prioritize your peace, because guess what? Like I said before, you're the only one that gets to spend as much time with yourself as you do. And let me tell you, when that is in a peaceful spot, life is a lot more challenging. So setting boundaries is key to living a more peaceful life in your body and having time for yourself. And then last but not least is really getting comfortable with your feelings. And I know that's not comfortable, especially for some of us bad bitches who just want to be like, I don't have feelings and my tear ducts are super glued shut. But asking yourself in the morning when you wake up, what feeling am I wanting to lead with today? Right? Like, what's the first feeling that pops in when your feet hit the ground? Is it, I'm tired? Ugh, I have to go to work today, obligation. What if you went into your day with a whole new attitude? Even if you hate your job, you hate your boss, you hate your partner, you hate your spouse. Listen, I've seen it all, okay? What feeling state? How can you change that? What if you just operated differently? Try it on like an outfit for the day. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Your day is better. That's the worst thing that's going to happen. You can always go back to your shitty feeling state if you want. I don't want you to, but you can. But just try on a different feeling. You can always go back to your old way of being if you find that your new feeling doesn't serve you. There is so much power in redefining who you are, once you can reconnect with yourself, you begin to trust your power, and it can be a soft power. It doesn't have to be an overpowering power. It can be soft power, right? Boundaries, joy, ease. This is the power of redefining and reconnecting to who you are and who you want to become. And it makes it a bit easier to start living in what I like to think of as energetic integrity, because your actions start to reflect who you're becoming. Like, what actions do you need to put into motion to reflect who you're becoming? Super important, especially as you're trying to transform your life or your body. You can start to create systems that support the sustainability of your power, right? Setting those boundaries, saying no, really getting intuitive about what it is that you need. And the last thing I will mention here is you start choosing from more of a desirous state instead of a default, right? And changing our defaults is challenging, but it's not impossible. I mean, I have changed so many defaults and reprogrammed self-limiting beliefs and have manifested so much in my life by just choosing from desire and not by the default actions and what is expected. And obligation, such a gross word. So this is your homework, is to really dive deep. And if you need to re-listen to this episode and sit with your journal and dump out everything you need to do to reconnect to yourself, to your mindset, to who you want to become. And I encourage you to play around with mentally rehearsing your future self's day. It's so much fun, right? Like I was guilty of saying I'm not creative, and that's not true. It's maybe I'm not having feelings of creativity. Well, let me just say, when you are dealing with functional burnout, you're overworked, you have obscene amount of mental load, you feel like you don't have support at home from your partner or your kids, maybe work, whatever, any of these resonate with you, and you start to put some of these things into place and create some white space for yourself. This is where creativity loves to live, is in between the rush and the busy and the buzz and the next thing that's coming. Oftentimes when you sit and you're like, I need to be creative, that's not usually how it works. The muse is going to visit when you're doing something else that is not my best podcast, my best thoughts. Those often come when I am not doing, when I'm doing less. There's space for things to enter, new thoughts, new things. So your goal, your homework, your gentle, loving pressure from your personal trainer bestie is to just take 5 minutes and mentally rehearse your future self and be her for 5 fucking minutes and see what that feels like. I have a meditation coming your way at the end of this series, and I'm very excited to bring that to you. It's going to be a podcast, and it's going to be great in helping you really sit with yourself and start to really embody your future self. Your last bit of extra credit is to do a calendar audit this week. And what are you doing that the next level version of you would never tolerate? That's a juicy one. What would the next level version of yourself never tolerate? Would she tolerate relationships that weren't fulfilling, friendships that were draining, relationships that no longer serve you, jobs that are ready to be retired and moved on, and passions that need to be chased? It's big work, but I'm here for it and I'm here for you. So I want you to ask yourself, what am I no longer willing to do to prove my worth? All right, I'm going to leave it there without belaboring the point. I love you. Listen, if this resonated with you, you enjoyed this podcast, you're like, what is this? Give me more. I, at the time of this recording, have 4 spots open to work with me for coaching. It's an application process. The application is lengthy. I'm not even going to lie to you, because I need to know who you are. I want to see what you're about. I want to get to the root of the humans that I'm working with, because I'm walking my talk. I want to work with women who are ready to do the work. And I need women that are ready for energetic instructions to also take charge in their life. and myself and my assistant coaches, and we've revamped our coaching, and this is what's been going on behind the scenes. And part of that is working with those that are being called to do more than just macros and muscles, right? Macros and workouts and all that. I'll get you that shit. We'll get you shredded. But the mindset work is where the real change is going to happen. So it's the last meal plan or workout that you have to worry about, because you're living in your integrity with your life, your entire life, and what you're really here for. So if you're feeling called to move deeper and want to work with me and apply, find that link. It should be in the description or the show notes. It's the Iconic Coaching Academy. It goes beautifully with what we're doing here. And this is the work that we'll be doing inside of the coaching program as well, as we work one-on-one week after week, and you move through rather than avoid the things that you need to in your life. All right. I love you. Find me over on Instagram if you have more questions, and come back for phase number 4.